I started the Claremont Run project 5 years ago, one of the main deliverables that was on our grant application was a manuscript. Technically, I didn't even have to submit a manuscript, just a manuscript proposal. Hey, please take this and make it into a book. And to my great surprise, a university press did take it. And I'm very happy and proud to say that that book, after going through the labyrinth, perhaps I should say gambit, of academic press, which takes a very long time and a lot of peer review, that book is finally coming out this October. So this is the announcement of the book that's forthcoming and what's inside said book. So all I want to do here is walk you through what's inside the book in the hopes of selling you on the book, I guess. So first and foremost, the book is about how Claremont portrays gender in his 16-year run on Uncanny X-Men. I'm basically looking at how he complicates the pre-existing Marvel philosophy of binary gender, in which the men are super manly and all have kind of the same emotional notes, and the women are super womanly and all have the same kind of emotional notes. Claremont's work has been singled out for its capacity to push hard against those boundaries and to create something new and different. So my book is largely an in-depth dive into what that is, what that means, and how that works. We have a foreword by Jay Edidin, of Jay and Miles Explain the X-Men. We have an introduction just talking about Claremont's place in general in terms of his representation of women in comics. Again, the thing that he's most commonly singled out for. Chapter 1 then goes into Jean Grey and Moira McTaggart as the archetypal Claremont woman figures that we see very early on in his run and how he empowers them. Chapter 2 moves to Storm. And looks at how the overall Claremont run very much moves through her and through her relationship to gender and her relationship to her sexuality to some degree as well. This transition from mother goddess to resolutely indefinable character, uniquely intersectional and complex. Chapter 3, titled Ladies' Night and the Second Generation of Claremont Women, focuses specifically on Psylocke and Dazzler, looking at how they too explore the concept of femininity in a much more complex and nuanced way than what we might be used to, including, in the case of Dazzler, in earlier iterations of that same character in the hands of other authors. And then a look at the Ladies' Night comic, because it's rad, and we should talk about it. And then in Chapter 4, we move into the relationship between femininity and masculinity as it manifests in things like the Dark Phoenix saga, specifically looking at Cyclops and his relationship to Jean Grey, the title being She Makes Him Nervous, Cyclops' baseline masculinity and the exchange of gender power. So how Cyclops deals with going from, being the sort of dominant person in this relationship, both in terms of prominence in the X-Men, in terms of superpower, and in terms of just the fundamental mechanics of their relationship as established in earlier X-Men comics, to suddenly dating a goddess, and how Claremont explores those anxieties in concert with existing theories on second wave feminism, which is fun, I promise. Chapter 5 is Wolverine as Subversive Masculine Paradigm, the longest academic paper ever written on Wolverine to the very best of my knowledge, which looks at Wolverine's relationship to his hypermasculinity. Again, you have this guy who's like the most macho, and Claremont really likes to explore how that hurts him, and how he struggles with that and seeks ways to push away from that during the entirety of his run. Chapter 6 is a spectrum of men refracting masculinities through Nightcrawler and Havoc, which just looks at how Claremont portrays alternate masculinities. First in Nightcrawler, who doesn't embrace that Wolverine hypermasculinity, in fact presents a lot of sort of relevant second wave theories on alternative masculinity. And then Havoc, Alex Summers, who absolutely subscribes to the theory of hegemonic masculinity and wants to be the manly man, but he's so not capable of it, and it hurts him so much. And how Claremont portrays that as this almost Shakespearean tragedy. Then my conclusion is just a legacy in waiting, which is just talking about Claremont's unique position in comic studies, and how his work will likely be looked at in the future. Now, in terms of important raw stuff, in terms of why you should consider buying this book, here's a fun chart. The average video essay that we produce on this YouTube channel is a 2-page script. The manuscript has 184 pages in it. So that's like, I'm not great at math, but at least 6 times the volume of one of our video essays. You can check that with a calculator if you don't trust me. Additional selling points. As I said, foreword by Jay Edidin, who is awesome, and I'm such a dork anytime I talk to him. just because I'm a fan of Jay Miles explaining X-Men, so I almost like avoid talking to Jay Editor. It's genuinely sad. We don't need to talk about it. This is also the first University Press peer-reviewed monograph on the work of Chris Claremont. That's a big thing for his academic legacy and the ways that his work might be studied in the future. And I'm deeply, deeply proud to be a part of that, even if the book sucks. Because I can be like, hey, I wrote the first one. It's not that bad. Also, I use a mixed methods research methodology, which means we use quantitative and qualitative data in a very specific relationship. Not necessarily quantitative data as evidence, but quantitative data as prompts. What this means is charts. You're going to get a lot of charts. And then I put 2 terrible jokes on here as selling points that I probably don't need to read out loud. There's also reviews of this book. The preliminary reviews have already come in, and I will cheerfully read you 3 of them. The first is from Julian C. Chambliss, who argues that, quote, Demand utilizes a mixed methods framework to highlight how Chris Claremont's work on the X-Men offered an innovative approach to gender and sexuality. Demand's research supports the often lauded progressive stance attributed to Claremont by documenting the subtle ways in which his run centered a wide range of female characters, and by carefully reconsidering the expectations linked to masculinity. In considering gender and bodies, this book emphasizes how Uncanny X-Men provides pathways for transformation and offers the reader an important way to see the series in a new light, which sounds like maybe it's a good book. Here's Samantha Langsdale, author of Monstrous Women in Comics. Quote, Demand presents truly impressive data and shows the ways one might track how gender is represented in comics. The author's qualitative analysis is also well developed and helps make the quantitative data relevant for all types of comic scholars. As questions about how the genre takes on identity politics become more and more prevalent, analyses like Demand's, which develop complex syntheses rooted in data, will undoubtedly, that's important, become foundational. End quote. I may have added that that's an important part. That might not have been part of the quote. And here is a review from my daughter, which says that the book has good descriptive words. She's 11, but she's the author of some really lovely poetry in her middle school classroom. And I don't know, I'm proud of my good descriptive words. You can go with that. I'm on board. So, if by chance you are interested in purchasing this book, you can find it right now on the University of Texas Press's website, or where a lot of books are sold. But if you are going University of Texas Press, please note that they have their summer sale on right now, which is 40% off, which is large. And I think that runs to the end of July of 2023. Should I be insulted that my book is being discounted before it even is released? Maybe. I don't know. The sale is on all books, so I feel like I'm okay here. We don't need to talk about it. And if you don't want to buy a copy, please tell your local library, university or public, that, hey, we need more academic work on Chris Claremont. Oh, I happen to know one. It's this guy. He did some Twitter stuff. That was cool. Some video essays on YouTube that I liked. And we'll see where that goes. At any rate, thank you for hearing me out. I hope the book is not bad. Fingers crossed. Thank you very much.